What's up, cyberspace cadets? It's Irate Prostate. It's Sunday, and it's time for some ice cream. You know, that treat that we give ourselves every Sunday with you and me and a big bowl of somebody. And today's bowl is full of Big Fat Brian.
What up, fam? Welcome to Netflix Hot Takes.
No,
oh, wait a second.
Wrong show. Wrong show.
Wrong show. Fuck.
What's happening, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. I'm doing real well. What you know? This whole day is about me, since you know it's my interview. So I'm doing nice and fancy. I'm treating myself, having a large glass of iced coffee here and some biscottis.
Well, fucking A, man. You need some ice cream, some fucking like butter pecan and stuff to go with that.
Right?
It'll be perfect.
Some ice cream coffee.
Oh, fuck yeah! That's the
yeah.
You did a video on that, didn't you?
I did do a video on that.
That's right.
I put an Itsin in some boiling hot coffee to make iced coffee.
Sweet. How'd that taste? Was it good?
It was really, really good, except for at the very bottom of the jar is where all of the sediment from the cookie got left over. So it got like it was like an oatmeal-y muddy slush at the very like half inch on the bottom.
Right.
And that was not so great, because that's when I found out the quality of It's cookies is kind of low, and they really use like a lot of heavy grain in there.
Right.
That's not very well chopped up, and you can't tell when it's in the ice cream bar, but when it's boiled and mud at the bottom, you can really tell. It's like eating. It's like eating uncut grits, or basically dried hominy turned into breakfast.
Ugh, dude.
Yeah.
Don't let me gag, man.
I know, it's gross.
Shit. Yeah, no shit. So before we get into things, I do want to remind everybody that if you are subscribed to the Irate Prostate channel, at the end of the month, Big Fat Brian and I, during our Castlevania, which is actually going to be on November the 1st, the Castlevania Hot Takes review episode of Castlevania Season 2, we'll be doing a drawing for a $40 Amazon gift card. And if you are subscribed to this channel and you make a comment on any of my videos, you qualify for that drawing. So get in there and win you a $40 Amazon gift card, man. Get you some porn or whatever the fuck. Get you a sex toy, or, you know, just get you something fun, you know? I mean, shit. It's on me, damn it. And all the links for everything's in the description. I've got a TeePublic going. Become an official cyberspace cadet. Wear your shirt proudly. Oh. Yes, sir.
Very nice.
Wear them wings, man. It's a great design. It's got you can get different colored like VR visors. It's like a dude's face with a VR visor set on, and with a set of wings coming off of it, and it says cyberspace cadet. And then proud YIGTOW. I'm selling shirts saying that now, and I've got some other designs that I'm working on. So with that out of the way,
well, you know, actually, before you get that out of the way, I really, really hope that you have a Netflix Hot Take T-shirt in there with both our faces on it.
I've got a design.
And a bunch of poo emojis that say "it's shit." That would be great. I would love that. I might actually buy that.
I'm not. It's the shit. Just it's shit.
Nope, it's shit.
No shit. Okay, man. Well, here we go. All right, we're gonna I guess get into the interview part of this thing. So, what my first question that I ask everybody, it's part of the ritual of the show, is you know, what, all right, how long have you been hanging around YouTube and watching stuff on YouTube and contributing?
You know, I've been watching stuff on YouTube since like 2011.
Right.
But I didn't really, you know, it wasn't my main place to go for some sort of media until about 2016. Maybe even like late 2015.
Right.
And then I ended up starting to make YouTube videos about halfway through 2017. So I just probably 3-4 months ago, I just passed my first year on YouTube. I should say that you know, unlike most people, I actually don't really do a drive for subs or anything. I don't make regular content or anything like that. So, you know, for a year, I think I'm doing pretty well for what I do, you know?
Yeah, and I'm going to get into this a little bit. So what was your main reason for the approach that you're taking, you know, towards all this?
You know, I to be honest, I just like fucking around on the internet. That's really it. I like to make things that, you know, if you go to my channel and you watch a video of mine, you're not actually there to learn a recipe. You know, I mean, you can. That's all of my recipes actually work and everything. But for the most part, you know, like I made purple drank alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Or as I spelled it, alcohol. That was you know, it's a multi-layered joke, obviously, and you can make alcohol that way, and it was fun to make it, and it was really, really sweet grape alcohol that that was about 12% alcohol in the end, so it got you crunk pretty quick.
Yikes.
Yeah, but most people probably wouldn't even think of doing something like that. You know, I put what was it, 11 pounds of sugar and 1 pound of jelly beans in there. yeah. So so it's really it's sort of my way of shit posting on the internet.
Right.
I know it's like a long form way of shit posting though, because I have to edit it and everything, but I still love doing it.
Right.
I made a coffee, you know, like we were talking about. I made that coffee video where I just made iced coffee with ice cream in it, and that probably took 2 hours to edit and put together and do narration and everything. But I thought it was funny, and because it was funny to me, I posted it.
That's, you know, and I think that's a good thing to, you know, a good way to approach it. It's like you're a maverick doing your, you know, your own kind of version of shit posting with, you know, using food as a medium instead of memes or, you know, etc.
Well, and the other thing is that I really, for me, I have a standard of making my own content. You know, I'm not like a channel where I take other people's content and put it together and then narrate it or anything like that. It's all solely my content for the most part. There might be like a clip here or there, but that's about it.
Right, and I occasionally will catch some like not nods, but you know, very disguised references to other channels or other specific videos that may be out there.
Oh yeah.
It's,
I actually make fun of a lot of people. They just don't know I'm making fun of them or haven't seen the video.
Right, and you're really subtle at it. You know, it's that's one of the things that attracted me to you. Not sexually, of course, but intellectually.
Well, I mean, sexually too. But...
Well.
Yeah, you know how you're into that.
I can't quit you.
Yeah, I can't quit you, Irate Prostate.
All right, so tell me about the name Big Fat Brian, its significance, the reason that for your avatar, etc.
Actually, so my avatar comes from a long time ago, almost a year ago now. I made a chicken on Failure Accomplished first or second channel. I don't know if that point he had already gotten a copyright strike. But I made a chicken live on air on his channel. And when they were doing it, it was the Cult of Cactus. This is all like way before the Kumite and all that stuff. It was Cult of Cactus, and I got invited to be the main attraction on their show, actually. And they used to have this guy, Otha, that would do artwork for them. And I'm actually friends with Otha. He does amazing artwork, and he made the artwork for free and gave it to me.
That's the one with you cutting like with the, it looks like a scimitar actually, right? The one that I use primarily on most of our artwork for our hot
he
takes
actually,
and stuff.
so that's actually a picture of me that he reanimated. I was just wearing regular clothing, and he put the chef suit on me, and the knife that I was holding actually looked like that.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So his artwork is spectacular. And then the artwork you're seeing on this live stream right now, that was Ghost Pokemon. And I even just got some new artwork from Lord Byron. He did a Big Fat Brian artwork as well. And I love it, actually. I love the fact that people just... I mean, I never asked for it, and they just made the artwork. It was really nice of them. You'd be surprised how many people are actually very, very nice and very
generous.
Generous, yeah, on YouTube. But go ahead.
No, go ahead. Please go on.
As for my name, the first thing I thought when I was gonna put up a YouTube account was like, I gotta make a fake name, obviously, because things could go bad otherwise. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, I don't want it to be something like Viking God 666 or anything like that. Nothing super edgy that makes me out to be like this egomaniac or like I take myself super serious and sniff my own farts or anything like that. But I was like, what would people make fun of me for if I was on the internet? I'm like, I'm fat, let's be honest here, might as well make it Big Fat Brian.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm already making fun of myself with my name. And people, it's funny because sometimes people be like, hey, Big Brian, are you, do you want to come on my stream or something like that, right? And I'll be like, it's okay to say the fat part. Like, that's part of my name. I put it in there. You don't have to, I capitalize the whole thing. Specifically, the fat part of it is the capitalized letters. It's okay to make fun of that. Well, that's why I did it.
And I think that the whole idea behind it is just it kind of represents like who you are. You're just out front with everything, man. It's like, this is who I am. This is what I'm about, and take it or leave it, whatever.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's another main thing that got my interest, in like working with you. Actually, we had talks and stuff about other, all kinds of. I mean, shit. We could talk about anything and fucking, we can either go real deep with it or go real stupid with it.
Until one of us needs a pee break.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just you either.
Yeah, it's okay, man. It's the old man here has to piss a lot, so it comes with the territory. It's on all y'all's to-do list, whether you know it or not. So, all right. So here's a great question I'd love to ask too: is there a specific food from your childhood that you just hated and you couldn't stand, and now in adulthood you're like, man, this is not bad,
Yes, actually, dill pickles.
Oh wow.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I really didn't like them at all, and then I started having like artisan style dill pickles. The hot mama dill pickles that you can get at like a gas station that are solo wrapped and they're like $2 each. Yeah. That's when I was like, oh my god, I fucking love dill pickles. And I was sitting there like, I've been betrayed my entire life, Mom. Why? Why didn't you show me how good they could be? Yeah,
exactly. So, talking about your childhood, what was it like being like a little Big Fat Brian? What was your childhood like? You have any brothers or sisters? Tell me.
I do have a sister. She's okay for a sister. We don't really hang out much, but we don't hate each other.
Right. So you're two like different in the way you approach things and just personalities and so.
Yeah, we're very, very different. We were at odds as children quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
we used to, as a child, I did a lot of extracurricular activities. So, like, surprisingly enough, I was in ballet for like 7 years. I was in sewing, cooking. I used to do charcoal drawing as a kid. I played piano and trumpet and tuba and let's see here. What else is on that list? I did all of these things for Sega. That's what I did it for as a child.
So, all right, that's what you were rewarded with, right?
Yeah, they traded it for Sega.
Right. Well, the musical instruments, that kind of explains your affinity for like comical styling and timing and shit.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that fits in good. That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, I understand good the war with the younger, or was it your younger sister or older sister?
Younger.
Yeah, man, me too, man. So yeah, I definitely at war with the sis. Man, mine could, like, she could set me up for anything. She could do fuck shit up and blame it all on me, and she would get away with it every damn time. It's great. He broke it. Let's see. So, all right, going on. Was there a person in your childhood that made a major influence on the way that the way you approach life, or or that influenced you in a way that still affects you to this day?
Yikes! That's a tough one. Did somebody influence me? And I mean, I guess I would have to say my parents, but that's sort of a given. Anyone like friends or anything? Not so much. And this is gonna sound really weird. I'm not exactly the type of person that gets super attached to anyone. Like I don't like. I have a best friend, but it's not one of those things where if my best friend was to like betray me or something, that I'd be like, oh, we still have to be best friends or anything like that. I would just be like, okay, well, I guess we're not friends anymore, and walk away. I don't really get. I guess it's hard to have an influence when you're not super emotionally attached to anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I see exactly what you're saying. So were you in, like, grow up and going to the when you were growing up when you were a kid, were you educated in the public school system, or homeschooled, or how did that?
Well, so I actually went to a private school up until about 3rd grade, and I tested when I went to public school in 3rd grade. I tested into the 5th grade, but my parents decided that I should be with kids that were my age. So, I went through regular school. I was an GATE/AP student, and then my sophomore year of high school, I tested out of high school. Like, I graduated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I started going to college.
Fuck. They didn't have that shit when I was a kid. Keep talking. So what was that like? So at the age of what, you were like 16? You
15.
15. So you get out of high school and you were in college. So what was that like, man?
Because I was a very, like, when I was in high school, I used to do a lot of weightlifting, and I've been the same height that I am now since I was, like, in 5th grade. So I'm actually 5'8.5". But I've been the same height since 5th grade. Right. So I looked like an adult when I was there. I never had I never really had anyone even question that I was not 18, which was sort of a little bit ironic because I'm a 15-year-old running around college, but yeah, it was sort of crazy. I had a lot of teachers that looked at me like, because I really didn't look young. I probably looked like I was 19 or 20, like maybe I was a year out of high school, actually. So I had a lot of teachers that would look at me like, you should be doing better than this. This is, you're old enough to be doing better than this. They had no idea I was 15.
Yeah, so college is like that, man. The faculty is not as communicative, as it would be in a smaller, like, public elementary or middle or high school even. All right, so wow, that kind of explains a lot. From my side, because I've known you. So you kind of how old were you when you graduated out of college, or did you?
I actually didn't graduate out of college.
Okay.
I got to a certain point where I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to take loans out, and so I did some basic math. I said to myself, hey, how much is it gonna cost to essentially finish up my degree, because I wanted a degree in psychology, and I wanted to be a forensic psychologist, not an actual clinical psychologist.
Right.
So I was like, I still have to get my PhD, because your degree's not worth anything unless you have a PhD. Doesn't matter where you're going, still not worth anything unless you have the PhD in at least in that category, in that major.
Right.
And I looked at it and I'm like, okay, well, it's going to cost me about $100,000 more, including books, to graduate with a bachelor's, and then probably another 50 grand or so to maybe 75 grand to get a PhD. And I hate school. I hate going to school. So I said to myself, how much could I make on a regular? And at the time, I was working for a moving company, and I was making between $15 and $20 an hour. And I was like, okay, well, how much could I make if I graduated with just my bachelor's? And I looked at it, and most of the national amount to make for just graduating with a bachelor's in psychology was like $35,000 a year. And I'm like, that's terrible. That's like, I make that now without the degree.
Yeah.
So I actually started looking at different ways to make money. I looked at, investing, and I looked at a bunch of, getting licenses in certain things, and getting, certified in other areas that are not college based and don't cost nearly as much money. And I hate to say it, but I make more than I could ever possibly make with a psychology degree.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? It's like and this is the comparison that I realized when I was actually doing it. Right, I had a patient that I was working with he was a electrician for automobiles. Right, he worked at a car service place, right? And he was the electricity guy. Whatever was wrong with the wiring or whatever, he would go in and fix it. And the guy was making like $42 an hour. Yeah. And I did the math on that shit, and I'm like going, fuck, I was making under $14 an hour, and that was at the max that I was probably going to make at the job that I was in right then. So yeah, that was not the way. I was like, I work on the fucking electrical systems of human beings, and I get paid less than a dude that does it for cars.
Exactly. Well, and here's the craziest part about that, right? So, the way the system works is if you follow the rules, you can make a good amount of money, and you'll be okay. But the system is not designed for you to win. So you either have to go around it or just choose to have sort of a mundane life. There are exceptional people, of course, that get their degrees and they end up getting a PhD and they make hundreds of thousands of dollars. But at the same time, unless you really are dedicated to putting in that much work to go to school for 7 years and end up having to still be like as PC as possible in your job that you have to show up to at 8 a.m. in the morning every morning and have a regular work schedule and no, I don't want to do that. I hate that. Why would I go to school for that?
Yeah, no shit.
You know?
Right. So all right. So when did I'm gonna rephrase it. All right. When did you know that you weren't a child anymore? Was there a specific incident?
13.
All right. And what happened?
I basically back on the Star 9 testing. You guys, some of you might know what that is. It's the testing to get into the next year's classes and where you're going to place and everything like that. I knew that at least for me, on a personal level, that I wasn't a child at that point. When I started looking at what people were doing, and I could anticipate what the next step was going to be.
Right.
What people are sort of the same. They never really change, and they are predictable. They're very predictable, actually.
Yeah.
And I noticed that I could sort of look at people and see that on a regular basis at right around that age. And so that's when I started really, I guess you could call it IRL trolling, but it's where I started saying, being an edgy little bastard,
Yeah.
and what I did was on the Star 9 testing was I drew dicks all in the bubbles,
Yeah.
Big long dicks, little dicks, dicks everywhere, all over the bubbles, and they put me in remedial classes. Yeah, they put me in remedial classes, and then the next year I took it seriously and I scored back into the gate classes. And they're like, "How does the school system?
How the fuck does this happen?
Somebody do this?"
Yeah, exactly. That's
Because I can. Because fuck you.
Because fuck you, man. Yeah, and once again, it comes back to you flouting everything and everyone because you love it.
Exactly.
And I do want to acknowledge that Goatman did show up. Obviously, the notification button didn't tell him that we went live when we went live. So, fuck you, Google and YouTube.
Have you seen, I just did this, I was hanging out with Memes of Destruction right before the stream. Have you seen, if you type in anything on YouTube that is politically related, you're never going to see a YouTuber, not for the first 100 results.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like, YouTube's dead, man. I'm sorry. That's my personal opinion. You're not going to get circulation in the political area if you're not a news channel.
And see, I've got this described as entertainment. So it's not even listed as political.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't even call this political.
No, of course not. Yeah. We're not even talking politics. Hell, we're talking about about you, the man. Mm-hmm. The reason for everybody is coming. So
the butter golem.
The butter golem.
Uh-huh.
Oh man. So yeah, everybody, if you were just notified and you're just now getting here, welcome. I'm in the middle of an interview with Big Fat Brady. You have not missed much. We talked a little bit about about iced coffee and his ability to get out of high school at the age of 15 and go to college, and his war, his eternal war with his sister. So
we got Chop Top Nada in the chat.
Chop Top Nada, what is happening? So yeah, and of course, Goat Man. It is not a blessed stream unless we have the blessing of the goat.
Yeah.
And thank you, sir.
We also have, I think, a newcomer, Wicked Heart. I've never seen her in the chat, or her or him, I can't tell, but in the chat before. But glad to see you. Anyway, so what's the next question, Irate?
Well, let's see, man. Let's look on the agenda here, what we've got written down. And so I've got this is like I'm not going to ask you that question because I think I know the answer anyway. So, all right, what's your favorite genre of entertainment?
My favorite genre of entertainment.
That's very vague.
That's actually really tough. I would say that my favorite genre of entertainment is probably horror.
Okay.
When are you talking like? Are we talking like form of media or actual like?
You know what? Let's break it down. Let's do this, okay? Because I think that that is such a vague question the way that I worded it. I mean, it's like, all right. So when it comes to like books, what about like philosophy, history, drama, action, horror, that kind of shit, right?
I've got you covered on this one.
With books.
So those that don't know me might not know that I have an Audible account with over 800 books on it.
Right.
I love listening to audiobooks, and I specifically like to listen to like mind-bending sci-fi / fantasy books where they have a lot of philosophy in them, but are not necessarily philosophy books. Like I have actually read Nietzsche on Good and Evil and Plato's The Republic, Descartes, all of the your basic philosophy 101 style stuff that's out there. But I specifically really like fictions that incorporate it very, very, very well. Mm-hmm. There's one out there called The Blade Itself. I think it's called the First Law series by Joe Abercrombie. It's a trilogy, and there's multiple other books after it that take place after it, but specifically the trilogy is fucking spectacular. They take multiple... they take a Machiavellian look at it. They have character mirroring where each character is his own character, but on the opposite side, because there's multiple factions in this book. There's a character almost exactly like them, except tweaked in one little way,
Right.
And it's sort of to give each character a reflection of themselves, both good and bad, and both their downsides and their upsides, and how maybe in their life they would have acted differently if certain things had happened. It's there's a lot of like power philosophy in there as well. It's very Machiavellian, and it's all around just a spectacular trilogy. Actually, if you're talking about media, I would say that audiobooks are probably my favorite. Because I like to do things while I'm listening to audiobooks, so I get shit done and I'm productive. But B, a lot stories are much better in book form because they're able to explain the different feelings of the characters. You can get a more in-depth feel for what the author
you get more of a
meant.
three-dimensional. To use that as an example, as opposed to looking to a photograph, it gives you more of a sculptural kind of approach to characters and motivation. things like that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
see exactly what you're saying. It fleshes things out. So
Yes.
all right. So
Well,
expanding out of that, going out. Oh, go ahead.
Before we go on,
Sure.
have you ever heard of Ursula K's Left Hand of Darkness?
Ursula K. Le Guin.
Yes.
Yeah. I've heard she did. Didn't she do the Lathe of Heaven?
She did.
Yeah.
I just re-listened to her Left Hand of Darkness, and it was written, I want to say, in '99. Today, if you were to interpret it, it might be a little more progressive than most people would like.
Yeah.
Because the whole story takes place with this other world that Earthlings go to, where they had apparently seeded it with gender neutral people. They don't have a gender.
Yes, I've heard of this book, man.
Yes.
This friend of mine was telling. Yes, a long time ago.
Okay.
This is an old book.
But if you get past the idea, because she does a prologue in the beginning of the book talking about, this is fiction. This is not meant to be real life. I'm just merely trying to portray an idea without imposing upon the reader. You know, she's trying to say, can you put yourself in these people's boots without having a bias one way or the other, right? It's a beautifully written book, and I really encourage, whether or not you have a right or left lean, go read that book. That book is it's the epitome of in the end, we're all humanity, and we're all sort of fighting for the same thing, which is survival and prosperity, right? And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your gender is or who you identify as, because there's actually two different kingdoms in the book. There's I want to call it Carthage, but it's not called Carthage, and Galatavians, right?
Right.
And it doesn't matter what side you're on. Both sides would benefit from this thing, but they can't seem to get it together because they are at war with each other and they want to do better than the other one. But in reality, they're both fighting for the same thing.
Right.
And it's just a beautiful book. I really encourage people to go out there and read it.
Sweet. So what I was going to dovetail is like, all right, so going into like film, movies, and like science fiction, like it sounds like to me like that Altered Carbon was the Netflix series that you and I reviewed.
Yeah.
You know, was like really your cup of tea then, right?
It was, because I read the book.
yeah, exactly. What about movies and you know, TV series, or you know, whatever?
You know, I would say I do love movies and TV series, but there are certain things that I call junk food, movies and TV series, right?
Yeah.
So like, Guardians of the Galaxy, that's junk food. It's good. I mean, I don't know anyone that would say it's their favorite movie ever, but it's acceptable. I'd watch it once or twice, maybe not 4 or 5 times, but that's what I would call junk food. And in the genre of movies and TV, that's the bulk of what's put out. You know, if I'm going to say that I truly like something, then it actually has to be good. And there are very few things out there like that. For instance, there's a show called Leftovers that's based off of a small book. I think the show is better than the book. And I really think that that basically, if you haven't seen that show, go see it. I also am a huge fan of the Hannibal series, the 3-season series.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. They used so many references from psychology. They essentially had Descartes references in there. They had Homer's The Iliad in there. They had you know, obviously, it's not about referencing things, but it's about being able to convey a message without directly having to say it,
Right.
And the subtleties of it, and the director and the, you know, the writer assuming that you're not retarded when you're watching it. That's a great thing. You know, I loved that about that series, and it's unfortunate that the third season got cut off and canceled the way it did, and that Amazon. I'm really glad they picked it up and they finished it off, but they were clearly in a rush. But it's still worth watching. It's amazing.
I highly recommend it myself.
Yeah,
I loved it. Loved every bit of it.
There's a movie out there called The Fall. I let me and Wild Tanuki watched it, but it's been one of my favorite movies. It's circa 2006. It's the story of a guy who tries to kill himself because the woman that he's in love with falls in love with another man, right? It's a classic story. But the whole time, he's telling a secondary story to this little kid that's in the same hospital ward as him. And he's trying to convince her to help him kill himself the entire time. And the story is done well. There's some beautiful cinematography. You know, I really wish that it wasn't filmed in 2006, that it might have, you know, that it was filmed in, I don't know, 2017 or 18, because that would have looked even better in 4K.
Right.
But either way, the story is done so well. The acting's done very well, and there's so much subtlety and even the use of there's a main theme throughout the story that is guided by the use of Beethoven's Number 7.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and it's done just magnificently. That really is the way. I mean, some people might find it kind of artsy fartsy, but I really think that is a top tier, like 10 out of 10 movie.
You got my brain going on something now. It's like but all right. So with that in mind, you know, it's like you and I have something in common. It's like within the community that we kind of rub elbows with and kind of, you know, gravitate with. I don't know what the word is, but there's like all this symbolism relating to like old wrestling, you know, WWE and stuff like that, and anime. And you know, I'm really not versed in any of that stuff, right? And I didn't think that you were. You know, I know you're not versed in anime. Are you as versed on the WWE stuff?
This is going to be an unpopular opinion. I think wrestling is gay. It's really, really gay. Like, it's a bunch of gay dudes dancing around in leotards.
Well, fair enough. Well, my whole point is that sometimes, so there's a whole, you know, there's this whole, you know, bunch of references and stuff that I don't always get and everything, but there's. I think what we're doing with the anime stuff is very interesting. So I think that it's fair, you know, to throw stuff like Hannibal and things, you know, that influence you or that you can, you know, reference, you know, horror films from the past, things like that. And I think that I think the whole point I was trying to relate to with that is that, you know, for, you know, anybody that's kind of in a similar boat, it's like, you know, that's what Brian and I try to do with the Hot Takes show is trying to, you know, try to look at this other side, you know, that not everybody's in touch with.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, it's, I don't know. Is there, all right, so what do you think are common misconceptions about you?
Common misconceptions about me. Probably that I am currently a chef. I did go to culinary arts school for a little bit, and I do have a culinary arts certificate, which is like the AA version of a culinary arts degree. But I actually only ever worked in like one restaurant, and then found out that it just pays more to work elsewhere.
Right.
So
you make a lot. You know, it sounds like you're making a lot of just practical decisions, man, and that's a good thing. Because in the long run, it's like you can make your dreaming choices, or you can make the practical choices, and in the long run, I think being practical at the beginning helps you pursue your dreams later. You know, if you can, you know, if you're disciplined enough like that. So I see exactly, you know, what you did. Makes perfect sense, and I think that I would recommend people to, you know, look at that way of doing things before jumping into arts, you know, from the get-go.
Yeah, well, not just that.
It doesn't pay.
Here's the other thing I find is that, for me, I'm very into variety. Like, if I haven't had food somewhere at a certain restaurant, I'll go and try it. And I'll go and try the dish that most people wouldn't try, you know, whether or not I even like that thing. Because I'm really the type of person to get out there and make sure that I'm not secluded in my own little world of just eating pepperoni pizza, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I really think that to be out there and to be proven wrong, or to be surprised by what you find out, is the best way of learning. If you're out there and you're just trying to get the, let's say, same opinions that you already hold, and you're not actually looking at the other people's argument, or you're not looking, you know, let's say you don't like sushi, right? Let's make this this analogy about sushi, and you go out and you try some fusion style sushi, which is like a Mexican restaurant mixed with a sushi restaurant, right? But you love it. Are you better for finding out that you love it, or should you just have stayed at home and never tried it?
So it's like the nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Exactly.
Conceptual, yeah. It makes a lot of sense. Because, all right, so let me ask you this: do you have a guilty pleasure, food wise?
Quantity?
Not necessarily quantity, but you know.
Sisyphus is right. Failure should be the greatest teacher.
I agree. I agree with that too.
But yeah. Do I have a guilty pleasure for food? Yeah. I would say cheeses.
Okay.
High-end cheeses are where that's my guilty pleasure. I love really high-end bries. The blue cheese that has the actual marble blue mold in it that's been aged.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing with a nice water cracker and some apricot jam that's homemade. You know.
Yeah.
I actually.
It sounds
you might not
fucking
know,
good, dude.
Right?
Yeah, blue cheese is a shit.
I would say that really my guilty pleasure is any food that you take time on to make better than it already was. For instance, like a lot of people may not know what tri-tip is, but it's like sirloin tip for Californians. If you take the time, you season it properly, and you do a nice black pepper, home crushed black pepper, right? Because black pepper has oils in it.
Yeah.
So when you crush it, it tastes different than the shit you get in a can that's already crushed.
Yeah.
So if you take the time...
Fresh peppercorn is so good.
Fresh peppercorn, yes. And you put in the effort, you will get something better than you had expected.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful analogy for a lot of things in life. and you would be surprised what you like. You know, I worked as a mover for quite some time. I didn't hate it. I actually don't mind manual labor. I'm a very big guy. Lifting things is not hard for me. So, you know, with everything I could have done, that paid pretty well and was not that bad of a job.
That's interesting, man. What about, all right, so guilty pleasures musically?
Classical music.
Okay.
Prokofiev.
Prokofiev. Oh.
Yeah. I really like the Russian style classical music between like late 1800s and through the 70s.
The romantic period?
I don't know that you'd call that romantic. It's mostly filled with sorrow. it's like you can hear the starving in it.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's especially if it's played, you know, very emotionally. You know, you can read the music and play it, and it can convey the music. But if the musician is good enough, whether it's cello or violin, whatever, they can put, you know, that emotion and just fucking, you know how to punch it exactly when and where. It's just as good as a, you know, as a Hendrix solo or whatever, you know. I believe that musically there is something good out of every musical genre. That there's something that can be brought to the table as an example of something good. That's why my mind is a lot more open when it comes to rap, because people have, you know, turned me on to people like actually listening to Tupac and shit, you know.
So I'm about to tell you something about classical, right? Classical music is all of the shape of the sounds are triangular. Which makes sense because most of it's in like a specific chord, which is, you know, if you know, it can be a 3-note or a 4-note chord. Mm-hmm. So all of it's triangular, and it's all set to a certain, you know, to a certain pace. Usually it's a 4/4 timing or a 4/6 timing, something like that. But ironically, death metal is basically just classical music sped up.
Yep. Absolutely. Especially like stuff like Yngwie Malmsteen, you know, the virtuoso Stevie Vai. Zappa saw that shit, man, and he was able to, you know, dude, I could talk hours on Zappa alone. All right, what's your guilty pleasure movie-wise?
Oh, God. Guilty pleasure movie-wise. Can it be a TV show?
Yeah, sure. I'll stretch that.
Supernatural.
Oh, there you go, man. Fuck yeah.
Oh God.
Exactly.
I feel gay just for saying it.
Well, man, I love fucking Starship Troopers, man. Every time that movie comes on, I have to just stop and watch it. Just because I know it. You know what?
Have you read the book?
Not the whole thing. I read most of it. I think I can't remember what happened, but I had to put it down. But yeah, there's a lot of differences. Like, yes,
way different. Yeah, it's almost you might as well call it something else.
Yeah, well, with the powered suits and all that stuff. There's some cartoon stuff that they did later on that's more like the book. And I can't remember what it's called, but it's Starship Troopers, and it's got a second title, and it's a cartoon series. It's like a 3-season cartoon series that was fantastic. And hardly anybody knows about it. I think it was released only in Japan, and then they released an American dub of it. I don't know. I'll try to find that, and maybe we can view that on Rabbit or something one day. Moving on, question-wise, it's like, all right, if you didn't have to sleep, what would you do with that extra time?
I'm gonna cheat on this answer here because I only sleep like 4 hours a night. Okay. That's not even a joke. That's just what I do. So, you know, if I didn't have to sleep at all, I would say I would be running. I would be running my own personal, you know, more experiments than I already do with food and gardening, and playing more video games. That's really about it.
So, all right, what job would you be terrible at? you think?
Oh God, anything to do with note taking or desk work, I supremely hate all of those. I actually used to work in a job like that, and I was terrible at it. It would take me hours to do what somebody else could do. Not because I couldn't do it, but I would sit there and I'd get bored and I'd start playing with like an eraser or something. And I'd just fucking around, check at the time it was Facebook because Twitter wasn't really around then. Check Facebook and like, oh, this person's wrong. I'm gonna type back at them. Oh shit, it's been 2 hours. Fuck, I better get to work. I better start doing up distracted again. I can't do it. I can't sit there and fill out spreadsheets. It's like cancer to me. It's why I can't. Why personally I couldn't stick it through school to get a doctorate. There's just no way I can do it. It's not something that is something I like, and if I don't like it, I can't do it.
Well, all right, now let's kind of change the channel here. So tell me a little bit about Ashley Graham.
Oh, do you want that screenshot again?
I've got one, but yeah, let's talk about your love of BBWs, man, and tell everybody what that is and your
BBWs. Okay, BBWs are big, beautiful women. I would say that I like the genre between, I would say encompassing obviously all normal women as well, but chubbies and up to BBWs, which is like, I would say you really start getting out of BBW at about anything above 220 pounds, That's SS BBW, and I'm not into that genre. I don't really like the beanbag women.
What's SSW? What is that?
SS BBW is super sexy, big, beautiful woman.
Okay,
I think.
And
then there's even there's even a higher genre there's like 2 more genres above that, which are SSS BBW, which is super sized, super sexy, big, beautiful woman. And then there's SSS EBBW because for some reason the ebony genre needs its own category where it's super sexy, super size, super sexy, ebony BBW. yeah, but you get what I'm saying.
So yeah, the more letters, the bigger, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
the more letters, the bigger.
Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, my cap's around the 220 range. But Ashley Graham, she's what would be considered a plus size model. I want to say that she's probably sitting at like 180 or so. Nothing too heavy. But she is full figured. She is thick with 3 C's. Mm-hmm. And she's a beautiful woman. And
statuesque would be the word.
Statuesque, yes.
Yeah. Very much so. Yes.
She makes Jennifer Lopez look like a hag.
Women like that remind me of Botero artwork. You could look up Botero later. Right now. But anyway, keep talking about her.
But basically, so what happened? I follow her on Twitter, and she posted that she was putting up her new YouTube channel where she interviews stars, right? Mm-hmm. So I saw that tweet at 37 seconds, and I thought to myself, I wonder what I can do. I'm just gonna see if I can just maybe put a comment on there, and we'll see who sees it, or if it gets likes, or if I get banned from YouTube. So I went to her page. I saw that at the time, only 200 people had subscribed. which, you know, in 37 seconds, that's actually amazing.
It's pretty fast.
And there were 5 comments already, and I was like, what can I say that can both be funny and also be sort of true? So I put I would let you and then poop emoji on my chest. That way also it wouldn't be censored, you know, because you can't say shit.
Right.
Otherwise it gets censored. We found this out on one of my videos where I was like, who was it? It was Tanky Boy or something had said something on my video and he said shit in it, and I never saw the comment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he deleted the word shit out of it, and all of a sudden it popped up. So I knew that she wouldn't see it without me making sure that it was PC.
Right.
So, of course, she saw it and underneath commented and said, really? You know? I'm like, amazing. Amazing. The one thing I get to say to Ashley Graham, and it's, I'd let you shit on my chest.
That's great. Oh, man. So, all right, let me ask you this. In your opinion, all right, do you think that NCAA football is nothing more than an analog for the Civil War, especially in the South?
I don't actually watch any sports.
Hold on now. All right, now, so who do you think has had more of an impact on college football, Nick Saban or Bear Bryant?
I don't know who those are.
Do you think it's more effective if the current climate, the SEC, goes with the pro-style offense or the spread variation? Or has the spread just played itself out?
Here's what I think. I think if you guys would stop being such pussies and be honest with yourselves, that you would just bring back gladiator fighting and we'd have fights to the death and it'd be way more entertaining.
I agree. I just love to see your face right now. But these are some of the questions I was telling you about, man. I was just, I figured, man, fuck it. Let's have some fun with my man here. Let's see. So since you run a cooking show, this is something that I pinned. Remember we scheduled to do this like a couple of weeks ago, and then Medicare did that thing, and I just said fuck it, because I thought we'd go all day. Yeah. So this is from that. All right. Since you run a cooking show, and you openly admitted that you love to eat ass, is there a particular preparation recipe or serving method that you recommend for maximum culinary experience?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, confirmed, I eat the whole ass. And I would say, being sanitary is the biggest problem here. You gotta make sure that you got one of those hoses in your shower that goes all the way down, and that you clear the train tracks on that. You don't want any fudge in your ass pie.
We'll keep going.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much says it all for that question.
Yeah, so you don't use any Nutella or anything like that?
Oh, no. You wouldn't want to get it confused.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be all bad. Imagine you're just sitting there eating some Nutella and bam, you get a turd in the mouth. That would just be, ugh.
Here's a good question, man. Do you what's your favorite muscle car from the 70s?
Oh, that's a tough one. Dodge Charger.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is all right. So we're kind of winding down. We've gone over the hour. Isn't it amazing how fast it goes, man? This is so. All right.
I know, right?
Who would you say is criminally undersubbed YouTuber? In our circle that we,
Well, I mean, all of us, but
yeah.
But if I had to choose one, oh God, criminally undersubbed. Who? Let me pull up my my sub list here, because I would be being biased if I said me or you, Irate.
Exactly.
So,
No, that's not. I know I'm not fishing for anything, but I am getting close to 650. If anybody wants to cross that 650 barrier, be the 650. Click that.
you know who I think is criminally undersubbed? I would say Sir Addy.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with that, man. I totally agree with that.
That and my second choice would be Wild Tanuki as well, because I love his
Tanuki's
stuff.
great, man. Yeah, absolutely. I totally. As a matter of fact, I want to get him on here at some point, because even Sofane was talking about him the other night when he was on. He's a big fan of Tanuki.
It's really weird because Tanuki actually knows like a lot of.
Yes,
I would say a lot of YouTubers.
Yes, he does.
He hangs out with them like on the regular, and I've never ever seen him ask for them to promote him or anything like that. He never even he doesn't even like spam his live streams at him or anything. It is odd.
It's interesting, man. He's a great guy, great person.
I would say so, yeah.
All right, well, all right, let's flip it. All right, man. All right, who in this corner do you think is overhyped?
Oh, that's a lot of people. But I don't want to make that many enemies today. Jesus
Well, I mean,
Christ.
come on, man. There's got to be at least one person that's like, and I guarantee you there'll be people that probably agree with you in the audience.
I mean, I can't understand what Pinoid is saying at all. Just like, I don't even know if he's speaking English. So
Fair enough. Yeah. So he would be your pick. He's just way overhyped, and you don't.
Yeah,
get it. You don't get it. All right.
Yeah,
Right.
I just don't get it. Like I watched his fishing video, and at the end of the video, he never caught a fish, and I was like, wait, what? Wait, what? This is. I thought you were okay. Cool.
All right. Well, all right. Before we split, let's see. Do you have anything coming up that you want to promote? You yourself?
I am working on. We should probably talk about that. The Arizona iced tea.
Oh yeah.
I am working on condom wine, where I'm making wine using Arizona iced tea and condom airlocks on it. And it seems to be going pretty well. It's still going. The fermentation process is underway, and it looks like it's going to be pretty good. Hopefully, I used bread yeast, which is you're not really supposed to use that for fermentation, but some people swear by it. I just used it because I wanted to make something that basically anyone could make with anything in their house. I mean, unless you don't have condoms, which you can get for free at Planned Parenthood. So, I figured we it would be really, really easy to do. And that's what I would throw together. And then after that, I'm going to be doing condom pudding.
How are you going to do that, man?
I'm debating on how I'm going to do it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow the condom up first.
Right.
And then attach it to a gallon of milk, or not a gallon, but like a quart of milk that's got one of the instant puddings already in it.
Goatman wants to know if you're using used condoms for this.
No used condoms. They're used when you're done with them, but no semen's in them or anything. So. Also, plus, if I used condoms, then they would be all stretched out.
They'll be stretched out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
work out too well.
Exactly. Was there anything, all right, that has that you think's been left unsaid that you want to stress while we're, we got time, man. If you want to talk, if there's something you want to bring up and talk about, we can, I can hang as long as you want to.
Yeah, you know what? I would, let's see here. I think, I had somebody ask me the other day, because you were asking for questions.
Mm-hmm.
I had somebody ask me, in waves of 10, how many fifth graders could you eat? And I said, I probably couldn't finish the first wave, because after you hit about 2 of them, what are they, like 100 pounds each?
They're pretty big, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, what's fifth grade, like 12, 13 years old? Or 11, maybe? I don't know.
Fifth grade? Let's see. Come on, 11-ish? 10 or 11?
11, yeah. Those are definitely at least 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I probably wouldn't be able to finish the first wave at all. What about you, Irate?
I don't think I'd make it through the first one either, man. Yeah. Yeah. Especially at my old age. I'd be crawling around the room.
Hannibal O'Neill in chat says, Arizona wine made by Trojan.
Nice.
Yep, you're not wrong there.
You ever notice how condoms aren't like, there's never small, there's medium, large, and magnum,
Well, there's also XXL Kings. Those are pretty cool.
I just always thought that was funny. Never make a small. Anyway, so, well, man, I think, we've covered everything. I do want to remind everybody, that Brian and I do a show called Hot Takes every Thursday. It starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and 5 p.m. Pacific. And what we do is we review stuff that's we're going to have to just start expanding, just film, TV series and stuff that attract our attention, stuff that's new and hot that people want to talk about. And we were going to do this one thing, but I think we're going to make an announcement later. Because I think, if you wouldn't mind, Brian, we'll hang for a little bit after this and talk about that. But yeah, so catch us every Thursday. Go ahead, man.
I mean, so we do have 18 people watching right now. Why don't, because you said you had a movie in mind, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about a movie called Apostle. It just dropped.
Yeah, well, I mean, because we could tell the audience exactly why we want to switch. I mean,
yeah, go.
I could tell them.
Please do.
Okay, so here's the thing. On Netflix Hot Takes, this whole month was supposed to be Shocktober, right?
Yes.
And so we tried to pick things that were scary and or thriller-ish. But unfortunately, some of the things were portrayed differently than they actually were. And 22 July is not actually about Anders Breivik's shooting. Like, the trailer is literally just the intro of the movie. I watched about halfway through, and I'm like, this is not a thriller or like a scary movie at all. It's actually a dramatization of his court case. And I'm like, this doesn't work. This is not what we were here for.
Right.
Why didn't it why was the trailer mostly about him killing people?
Well, why do you think, man? They fucking tested it in front of people and they said, God damn, nobody's gonna watch this. So we're gonna tease, we're gonna do the old bait and switch and tease people. It's gonna be something that it's not.
Yeah, I agree. And I really do. I hate that. I hate when you watch a trailer and they put all the best parts in it, and then you're left with a shitbag when you watch the movie. And I think that's where this is going, because I haven't finished it all the way. I'm only halfway through it, but I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah. And I caught, to be honest, Apostle And I'm gonna have to watch it again because it is. It's. I don't know. It kept my attention. I'll put it that way. I don't want to give anything away for the show, but it's more in line with what we would want to look at. I think
for this Shocktober.
For Shocktober, that's right. And
Brother.
So, and remind everybody that, of course, at the end of the month, when we cover, which is technically going to be November the 1st, okay, which is, I think, the Dias de los Muertos. Isn't that it?
I don't know. I don't keep track of holidays that well, actually.
Yeah, on that day is the day that we are going to review with Big Fat Brian and your boy Pat. We're going to be reviewing season 2 of Castlevania, which is going to the reason that we can't do it during the month of October is it's going to drop on the 26th, and the dates just didn't add up right for the night.
Ouch.
Yes, but it makes a perfect end to October, and when we'll do the drawing for the $40 Amazon gift card. So if you're a subscriber and you leave, just leave a comment. It doesn't have to be anything, heavy duty. Just make sure you're a subscriber and you leave a comment, and you will qualify for the drawing. I will let if you want to, Brian. You can do the drawing yourself. How about that?
Oh, hey. Well, I mean, I don't know if that would be fair.
Well, maybe I don't know. We'll talk about it. But
I'll still leave you comments. Don't worry.
No doubt. But so yeah, on that note, I want to thank everybody for showing up. We're looking at you for next week. This next week, keep looking for the Arizona wine. I'm excited. I love this. I love the stuff that you do with the alcohol, man. You're so creative with it, and it's so fucking funny.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's excellent stuff. But with that note, I guess, hell, we're out, man. This has been a fantastic interview, and I appreciate you for hanging with me, Brian. You're a good friend, and, at the time we've known each other, I'm really glad that we started doing this shit together. It's fun.
Right? Yeah, anytime, Irate.
All right, bro. And on that note, we'll say bye-bye.
Thug life, fam.
That's right. That's right. Dab it out.